what's happening?
Well, and so this is the really interesting point is, you know, when you look back at many of the deaths that or most of the deaths that we've reported out on, it's individuals who are elderly, it's individuals who are on hospice, it's individuals where a correctional setting does not make sense for these people. One, it costs the state an immense amount of money. Two, correctional facilities do not have that level of equipment and things that they need for, you know, somebody who needs hospice care. So really trying to get people on the outside, but the department has told me that the struggle with that is that many hospitals or different organizations on the outside who could potentially take these individuals will not take them because of their criminal history. So there's a massive stigma that still is very prevalent.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I get that. I think Bob has been a real huge advocate and he's really shone the light on this. But I think it's a societal, community health issue, really, that I think really needs to be looked at, and maybe the Department of Health needs to get more assertive in this area. So just a comment.
No, and let's look at it in terms of suicides, medical, and criminal.
Yes.
Deaths, and then a comparison.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
Ted, just for the record, you're allowed 5 questions per item. Just kidding, Ted. Kidding.
Ted,
Go ahead, Ron.
no, I said I give Ted my questions.
Oh, okay, Ted. Okay, Ron.
Yield to Ted.
Thank you.
Item number 7. So real quick, the Hawaii legislature passed House Concurrent Resolution HCR 23 during the 2023 legislative session to convene a 15-member interbranch, interagency task force to examine and make recommendations in authority setting the minimum terms of imprisonment. In Hawaii, there is a 2-step process where the courts establish the maximum term of imprisonment as set out in statute, and HPA holds a separate hearing to determine the minimal term. Within that resolution, have we placed that resolution on our website, ladies and gentlemen? Of the 15-member task force, the Hawaii Correctional System Oversight Commission has specifically been identified as the chair of that task force. So we will be leading that task force. We hope to convene our first meeting in September as we try and get the delegates that are representing the different agencies. It's an added task to our staff. We are working with a national organization, the Council of State Governments Justice Center is a national nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that represents state officials in all 3 branches of government. Their mission is to provide research-driven strategies to increase public safety and strengthen communities. So they have been working throughout the states on sentencing reform. Yeah, so we're very excited to have them come and help us. And again, our staff are so well known nationally that they're able to bring these organizations for pro bono work. So, and they come highly qualified. So myself and Christian will be going to the mainland for some training on national training on sentencing reform in early August to help prepare us for when we convene the task force in September. Anything else you want to add? No. So we're kind of excited about this. This is a big movement for reform, a big step, and hopefully we get some good results. But this is just one movement that, as the previous things that we've said in the meeting, that's going to highlight a very busy end of the year for the commission and for Christian and her staff. So we're just reporting that out right now, and from Ron and Ted on the task force. Hearing none, the next big event for us as we move into the fall of 2023, I'll ask Christian to report on.
Yes. So on the agenda, it says Legislative Symposium. I want to be honest, that is not going to be the name of the event. That's more of like a placeholder name. It was always the commission's idea and intention to really bring in, we've talked about amend in past meetings, and bring in amend to talk to not only legislators, but also the Department of Public Safety about culture and correctional standards and facility designs and, just all of these massive pieces when considering the correction system. And so we ended up partnering actually with the University of Hawaii School of Architecture and also Bob Merce's group, the Correctional Reform Working Group, to plan and host this event together collectively. The reason why the School of Architecture came into this is because many of you are aware that they are really running public safety's outreach efforts in talking to different stakeholders and community members about the correctional system as a whole, but with a particular focus in the new jail, the new OCCC. So we're extremely excited for this event. We don't have a date nailed down yet. We're hoping actually to have it nailed down tomorrow. But the reason for that is we want to host it at the Capitol because we want as many legislators who can attend to be able to come and participate along with their staff. And also Amend and their staff, their entire team actually has agreed to come out and host part of this. And again, they have waived all of their fees to do that because they know that the work is so incredibly important. So we're thrilled to have them. So more information will be coming forward about this. Again, we're really just trying to nail down, basic things like the name, the date, where this will be occurring and everything. But we would love to have the community be able to come and sit in on these presentations so you have an idea of what's going on. And so you can participate too. And so we'll keep you informed on that.
Any questions for Christian from Ron and Ted? Okay,
No questions.
We want to move forward to the next item 9 on the agenda, the Maui Community Correctional Center. I believe I was not present at this particular tour. However, Ted and Ron and Mike and Martha participated. So I'll just hand this over to Christian to brief.
Okay. Ted, did you want me to run through this or did you prefer?
No, why don't you?
Okay. All right. I will go through this quickly. So after our May 18th meeting, the commission had gone to MCCC. As you know, the May meeting ran a little bit long. So the commission thought it would be best for us to actually go again, do a second tour. So we did. We went on June 6th and Commissioners Ron Ibarra, Ted Sakai, me and Kara had all toured MCCC. And so this report really encompasses mostly from June 6th, general observations. The warden, Leanne Endo, is amazing. We were so impressed with her. She has immense compassion. Staff were very welcoming and friendly, and the educational instructors were clearly very passionate about what they do and what they're trying to do. We actually saw people with laptops working on different programs, not just in the educational center, but actually back in their housing areas, which was great to see, laptops and tablets. And also it was great size. It had lots of information in there that they not only need to have, but also had non-legal books and different things of that matter. Physical plant. So overall, the facility was clean, but there were definitely areas that need some clear updates. There's the floor missing. It needed better lighting. There was mold. Dorm 6 and 7, the bathroom was atrocious, deteriorating. Many areas of the walls were missing. Floor pieces by the showers were missing. Many of the toilet bowls and sinks were broken and inoperable, and the smell was very bad. And also mold was clearly present throughout that area. We have heard that they are next on the list to have construction done to fix all of that. But we'll, of course, continue to follow up to make sure that happens. Other than that, just basic, water leaking through the ceiling tiles. Again, mold, and then the holding cell, there was a lot of graffiti. Some parts of the facility were very much overcrowded. And so in particular, modules A and B, they have an official capacity of 48. On June 6th, though, module A was at 75 people, which is 156% capacity. And module B had 78, which is 163% capacity. So again, these are spaces where we're seeing, people sleeping on the floor, double bunks, the whole nine. We also noted an unacceptable level of idleness throughout several areas of the facility. And so this was a little more specific to modules A and B, but also dorms 1 and 2. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to skim. But yeah, I mean, it appeared as though people were spending about 19 hours a day in the overcrowded cells. That was the point I really wanted to highlight. And so 19 hours a day, again, like we were talking about earlier, that really reflects restrictive housing, even though these are not restrictive housing units. But speaking of restrictive housing, those units and practices really need to be closely examined, and that's exactly what the commission plans to do. So Mod C, that's a unit that houses administrative segregation, and Mod D houses people in disciplinary segregation. So again, individuals are allowed to be out, either for 2 hours a day or 1 hour a day. But we noticed that log entries were being made in the control station by the officer in the control station, not by the individuals coming into the unit, which is concerning because it adds a severe risk of missing people, having inaccurate information, missing the times that the officer is busy doing something, and so those are official government documents, so that really needs to be corrected. Also, the times of the visits were not noted. Again, this is an important piece of documentation that has to be recorded in real time. Also, people in custody in these units do not have readily available access to the grievance system. And so people have to actually ask for a grievance. This can create an uncomfortable situation for many of reasons, but I think more oftentimes than not, officers will ask, well, why? Who's it against? What for? And again, that's not what grievances are for. They should be applicable to the people investigating the grievance and nobody else. With that said, I do know that the department is working on putting the grievances on the tablet so that individuals in custody can actually submit grievances through the tablets, which is awesome. Many, many, many other jurisdictions do that. So we're looking forward to having that. In Module D, same type of issue. The medical request box is placed outside of the secure door. And so individuals could not easily access that and drop in their medical request. So again, you're kind of adding in a layer of officers who may intentionally or unintentionally kind of ask, well, what is this for? What do you need? They could get busy, forget to put it in, the list goes on. Also, another big issue is that in accordance to PSD policy, individual in-cell observation should occur at least every 30 minutes at irregular intervals. That's the minimum amount that individuals should be checked on and viewed. But it became apparent to us that the officer in the control center couldn't see the cells from their posts, and they were maybe checking the cells once every hour. And so that was definitely concerning to us. The other piece about this too, Ted, this was the part that I was thinking of about the admin seg. So we realized that people who are housed in Mod D, which is disciplinary segregation for more than 60 days, will do 60 days of the disciplinary segregation, get a day or two break, and then go back into segregation for the remainder of their time. So for example, like 30 more days. So the problem with this is that PSC policy is actually very specific, that if segregation exceeds 60 days, there needs to be a written approval from the IDA. There needs to be more eyes on it to really make sure that that's absolutely necessary. And having the individuals get that day or two break appeared to just be a workaround to that policy. So again, having segregation or restrictive housing just being way overutilized, we know that, so that's a huge concern. The intake unit is highly inadequate. There was no doubt about that. That unit only has a few cells to hold people. That unit was actually designed in 1970 when the original facility was designed, and that facility design was to hold 20 people. So obviously it's way past that at this point. When we had gone for our second visit, 3 of those cells were actually occupied by people with serious medical conditions. There were no medical staff in the vicinity when we visited. They were in the facility, of course, but not right in that area. So we were a little bit concerned about that. Additionally, they were just difficult to see in. There were serious fire safety issues in dorm 1 and 2. 2 of the back area doors were actually kind of blocked off and locked, which is a massive fire safety hazard. And then, of course, inadequacy of the medical unit. And so I think one of the reasons why the intake unit was being used for people with serious medical issues is because medical doesn't have a can with what they have. But overall, this was just very concerning to see. So I'm going to jump over to recommendations to be considered by the Department of Public Safety. And there's 2 sets of this. So one, the commission identified system-wide issues that MCCC cannot fix alone, right? Like this has to be all of us in it together. And so MCCC needs better support for staff, especially after traumatic incidences. MCCC had a suicide just under a year ago. And when we had talked to one of the staff members who actually tended to that individual, her eyes immediately swelled. She was really having a hard time. And I reiterated to her, I watched the video and her response time was really second to none. I mean, she did a great job it was clear that it was still very much impacting her. And so we are concerned about staff in general across the board after traumatic incidences. Also, the length of time in jail pre-trial is just too long. We know this, we've talked about this before. And again, that contributes to the mass amount of overcrowding that's happening. Lower security level modules are under capacity, while higher security level modules are over capacity. And then lastly, for the systemic issues, women in jails need access to services and programs in the same way that men have access to services and programs. And so when we talk about women in custody, oftentimes we focus on WCCC. And I understand that in every single CCC facility. And these are men facilities. The women are housed in a separate area, of course, separate by sight and sound. But we're worried that they are not receiving the same amount of programs or access to things as the men are. So now specific recommendations to be considered by the Department of Public Safety. 1, officers need immediate policy refresher training on unit management. So again, going back to how often you should do tours, how to fill out a logbook, how to do reports, all of that. 2, grievance and medical forms and drop boxes should be inside of the modules so that individuals can actually access. Policies need to be updated to align with federal standards, not just federal standards, but also with all of the immense amount of research that we know about. Again, I'm reiterating this a couple of times because I know it's important. Restrictive housing is detrimental to mental health. We know this. And so, the commission's really going to take a larger role in looking at these policies and digging into what's happening, why it's happening, and how it needs to change. And then 4, fire safety needs to be prioritized. So again, having chains or padlocks on doors 1 and 2, those need to be removed immediately. And instead, equipping those doors with alarms that sound every time it's open. So you're still considering the security aspect without, putting people in potential danger. I believe that is everything. Commissioners, please jump in if I missed anything. But that was the report.
Ted and Ron, any observations from your perspective?
I think Kristen covered my input on what I've seen over there. Just I think Ted and Kristen, you're going to talk about the furlough space, the beds there not being utilized to the extent good.
Yeah, I was very, very disappointed when I saw how few inmates were in the work release program on Maui, because it used to be very robust, like 40, 50 inmates and in work release, so preparing for work release with a lot of activity in the community, very successful. And MCCC had an excellent reputation in the community. So to see the small number of inmates on furlough is very disappointing to me. And I think that's a system problem, not an MCCC problem. The second thing is on the fire safety issues. The other couple things I want to add. First, when we saw the back doors padlocked, and that's an extremely serious issue, it may not, we may not have a fire, fingers crossed, but if we do, and the fire is near the front door to either one of those dorms, everybody in there, nobody makes it out. It's that simple. 20 people die right there because they can't get out any other way. And so these chains and padlocks have to be removed immediately. The second concern I have in the very same dorm is when we asked what's the plan for evacuation, there was a small sheet, 8.5 by 11 or whatever the standard paper size is, and I looked at it, and I think it was Carol who looked at it with me, and we couldn't figure out what the evacuation routes were. So, and I think staff really need to be trained on fire safety issues. On another dorm 6 or 7, I think, they had like police tape blocking off the back door. And when I pointed out to the warden that that's a fire safety issue, she wasn't aware of it. So that's what made me think that we really need to have perhaps all of the facilities really have their awareness of fire safety raised a great deal. It's something that hopefully will never happen, but if it does, the consequences will be devastating.
I think one of the things we can follow up with, Ted, and that's a good point, is that, and you know this as well, is that there should be annual emergency, so that they have a lived experience of how to move an inmate during a situation. And I know it's in policy to have those drills, and whether or not they're being done is what we need to find out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is in policy that there needs to be fire drills.
Yes.
Occasionally, I'll let the inmates are actually moved out of their living areas into the places of refuge. But sometimes simulated drills. So yeah, I think fire safety is something that they don't take seriously enough. The second point I wanted to raise, and there's a new building coming up. The construction has been delayed, but it's a new housing unit, and I think it's great that they have some brand new housing coming up. Maybe hopefully sometime next year it'll be open. But everything else remains. All of the lousy housing units that they have will remain, and a lot of them are wooden structures that were put up more than 20, 25 years ago as temporary measures, and they will remain. There's nothing that's going to be done to improve intake, nothing that's going to be done to improve programming space or anything like that. And I think the same as in Hilo. what's the long-term plan to make MCCC a real working jail? Because it's not right now. So, and I think.
Thank you, Ted. Is that all?
I think so.
I don't know if Leanne is on. I don't see her. So she might not. The warden, I'm not sure if the warden is on. She might not be. Also, my apologies, commissioners. I didn't see this email at first, but Tommy and Mick were not able to be in attendance today. They explained why, and I can forward that over to you all. But they did say that PSC's business management officer will attend to address any issues regarding MCCC. Okay. But I'm not sure who that is, in case any commissioners had questions.
Is there any representation from public safety on the Zoom at this time?
Yes. Hi, Mark. This is Tessie Fernandez, BMO. I'm here.
Hello. Thank you for being here today.
Hi, Tessie.
Hi, Ted.
Do we have any specific questions for her, or were you given any instructions to report on the Maui situation, Tess?
Not really. It's just to respond if there is any questions that I get or information.
Okay. I don't think
I don't know. Ted, Ron, you have any questions?
Tess, do you know specifically when the construction of that bathroom is going to start in Maui?
Commissioner, are you talking about dorms 6 and 7?
I believe that's right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. It is set to begin construction on August 24, 23.
Okay.
Oh, okay. It's like 2 months.
In a month.
Next month.
August. Next month.
Yes, next month.
Yep.
And our goal is to be able to complete those projects that are funded by the ARPA funds, before the closing of this calendar year.
That's great.
That's good news, Tess. Thank you. Ted, any further questions?
No.
I think some of the more,
for Tessie.
yeah, some of our questions are really directed for her supervisors.
Yeah.
Yeah, more at the Tommy level.
I mean, I guess one more question that we could, in Tessie, I'm not sure if this was discussed beforehand, but do you know if there was any feedback regarding the recommendation to inside the module?
I am not aware of, I don't know the answer to that, but I sure am putting notes, during the your report, so I could forward it to Acting Deputy Mick Hoffman and Director Johnson.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And you being here.
Mark, I do have a question for Tessie.
Okay.
Okay.
Tessie, do you know if there's any plan to rebuild the MCCC at a different site?
Ted, that's always been in the planning stage here, the Maui Regional Public Safety Complex.
Right.
Actually, we were provided by the legislature via Act 6. I think it's 20. Wait, let me see now. Okay. Act 6 SLH 2020 provided $5 million in CIP funds for planning for a Maui Regional Public Safety Complex at Pulehunui, Maui. So we already have a consultant for that one, and we're moving forward with those planning things.
So the consultant is for planning at this point?
Correct.
Do you know what the department's plan is to work with the community in terms of planning the facility?
Yes, I believe that part of the scope of this consultant, if my recollection is correct, is to engage the Maui community for input.
Okay. I think that's something we ought to watch, given the issues that have surfaced surrounding the planning of the OCCC, the new OCCC.
Yes, actually, exactly what you're saying, Ted, is we've learned so much from what we have gone through in the process for the OCCC relocation, and so lessons learned from that process would help with all of the planning efforts for all of the CCCs in the neighbor island.
I'm glad that this is happening, because the current MCCC is totally inadequate, and it's more than just the number of beds. Thank you. And I know staff is doing all they can to keep it together with duct tape, but it's definitely not enough. So I'm glad this is happening. Thank you, Jesse.
You're welcome.
No further discussion on number 9. We'll move forward to 10, where we're opening up for some public comment on our agenda items. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, commissioners, for the discussion on the agenda. Ron, is your hand up, Ron?
No, I'm not.
Ronald Fujioshi.
Oh, shit.
The other Ron from the Big Island.
We have our Big Island group.
Yeah. Just waiting for audio. I think Calvin is still over the Big Island. We can't hear you folks, Ronald.
Can you hear us?
Okay, now we
there
can.
we
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Zoom is challenging, as you know. Mahalo for having us. I'm sharing the iPad with Ron, who's sitting next to me. My name is Jess Haney, and it's good to be here. I live in Pepekea, Hawaii, and definitely looking forward to seeing you. So I hope there's a way that you can have another Hilo meeting in the next couple of months. There's some feedback. So I wanted to comment on the Hawaii Paroling Authority item. Is this the time that I could do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So I wanted to voice my support for this task force. It is excellent that you all are getting to chair this, and want to voice my full support for the removal and responsibility of the power of the Hawaii Paroling Authority to set minimum sentences. So as the resolution itself states, the process is redundant and distracts from their full capacity, which could be utilized, as you all know, to actually get people out and working on the processes supporting people's parole. So given your commission's priorities to reduce overcrowding of people inside Hawaii's facilities, to support reentry of eligible people inside, and also to transition Hawaii's system to a system of rehabilitation, it seems logical and efficient to remove this punitive authority from the parole body and focus its offices on things that will actually help the issues of overcrowding, which you pointed to so many times today. Again, mahalo for your work with the touring and good observations and sharing those back with us. So just wanted to voice support and hope that the chairperson of this task force does due diligence in maximizing your leadership and bringing Hawaii in a direction that all of its residents, especially the people most harmed by these duplicative systems, deserve, which is one that has possibilities for life outside a cage. And so since the task force will be studying other states' parole system models, Christine, I understand you're coming from New York. So maybe you know these, but I want to put on your radar a few tools where there's been dedicated efforts across sectors to improve parole. So in 2021, the Center on Race, Inequality, and the Law, NYU, New York University School of Law, along with the Parole Preparation Project, issued a comprehensive report, The Problem with Parole, New York's Failing System of Release, documenting the vast disparities in parole decisions. So can I share the link to that report for you all to include as testimony and its 2023 addendum?
Yes.
Great. There's also the Unlocking Billions report from the Center for Justice at Columbia University on the annual and projected savings of the passive of progressive justice reforms in New York. This is also helpful as you all are looking. New York also uses indeterminate sentencing. They've had lots of problems over the years with people being eligible. So let's learn from the hard work of people on the ground, fighting to get people out and out of those bottlenecks, as you said. So last point, I see that the task force doesn't have any seats or named participation from the people who experience the injustices and harm of this duplicative power, imprisoned people and their family members who are directly impacted by prolonged incarceration. So I recommend that you develop processes which can draw assessments and recommendations from people on the other side of this experience. It would be a missed opportunity to not root any feedback in the grassroots experience of this policy and could perpetuate the marginalization of the people most adversely impacted by harsh sentencing. And we are all impacted, when our neighbors are locked in cages for undue amounts of time. And so, those are our state's resources, those are our people. But we really do need to hear from the people who are on the other side of the parole authority. So just thank you to this task force for steering along this item. And to share a bit about my background, prior to joining Ohana Ho'opakele, from 2008 to 2010, I was a member of California Coalition for Women Prisoners, which has been organizing to support women in California's prisons for over almost 3 decades, to 2022. I was a member of Critical Resistance, which is a national grassroots organization dedicated to ending our society's reliance on imprisonment and addressing the harms at their root cause. I was the national co-director of the organization from 2014 to 2022, and also supported the California prisoner hunger strikes, raising the issue and concerns about the use of solitary confinement. I was part of the campaigns to halt multi-million and multi-billion-dollar jail expansion plans in San Francisco and Los Angeles counties. And most recently, the organization has joined movement partners in the state of California in the prison closure campaign, which is accelerating the issues that were originally understood as problems of overcrowding into unjust incarceration. And I will share a report that's the People's Plan or the roadmap for prison closure, which shares ways that are policies that we can steer towards getting people out of cages. So thank you for the work of this commission. It's nice to meet you. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much. So just to leave out, so you're going to share those 2 reports that were specific to parole, right?
Yeah.
And then George, can you pull those for me? And then quick question. So I know you mentioned you wanted those who are directly impacted, and I have to ask because I want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. You're referring to people in custody, right?
People in custody, or people who have been through the custody process, or people's loved ones who have been working to support them through parole for however many times. But yeah, I saw that there was 2 seats for the different types of harm. And so wondering about the community participation, as you said, in custody or custody.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Kat.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you. Thank you to the commission. Thank you also to the prior speaker. Really important. I wanted to talk about the UH community engagement process. It is not. They are meeting people one by one. So there is no community engagement. They're meeting people separately. That is not the way that you engage the community because the community likes to hear what everybody has to say, and that triggers other questions that they have. So if we really want to engage people, we are going to do a process like that with lived experience and their families who are the invisibly incarcerated. So I think it's really important that not just meeting one person at a time with a group, we want to meet together. The community wants to meet together. We want to include people with lived experience. We want to include families who have been treated just as badly as their loved ones. So please don't just say that we have a community engagement process for OCCC. We do not. UH has a contract and they're meeting people one by one. So right now, the people who are going to be involved are agency people. It's like it has nothing to do with the community and the harms that have been wreaked on our community by building more cages. So please consider that. We know that the commission is the only state agency that encourages community engagement. And we're asking you to please educate the department, the state, on how you actually talk to people. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
Bob?
Just a couple of brief comments. That number one, that was a very impressive report from the whole Pakele group. And it was a delight to hear it, and welcome to have them make this kind of input to the commission. I think it's wonderful. I also like to thank the commission for its hard work and for including everybody in today's discussion. A couple of very brief comments. Number one, I think it just, every time I hear the number of deaths and hear the ages of the people, I wonder what the heck is happening with our compassionate release program, if there is any such thing. We have the 80-year-olds dying. We have 70-year-olds, 60-year-olds, and they're dying in prison. And we were supposed to not have that going on. The legislature has, refused to pass a bill that would address this situation. But I just think it's totally deplorable that these old men would die in prison at the rate that they are. And I just wonder, and we say they're in hospice care over it, but it's not really hospice. We don't really have hospice care. And it's really a degradation of the term to refer to what we do to these people. The way we house them, to call it hospice. It's not. We have it's punishment up till the moment you die in prison is what it is, and we need to face that fact. I also think, with regard to the planning of the Maui facility, it is now is the time to bring together the community that we're supposed to have to oversee the planning of the new. Whatever we build it is, whatever environment we build over there. I mean, what is appropriate for Maui? I don't have any idea. It's probably not exactly the same as we need over here on this island. We have more space over there. You can be more creative over there. You can build an entirely different type of facility over there. And we can't talk about the community having, quote, input. We don't need input. We need to have the community be a working partner to help plan and design the new facility, whatever it is over there. And now is the time. And finally, I would like to just say that I've been getting some feedback from various sources that we should take a look at. We have never seen, we never talk about the new facility that's being built on the grounds of the Women's Correctional Center in Kailua. I'm wondering what that really would look like, and why I think the commission needs to get the plans, to at least some of them, to take a look at it to see what kind of facility it is going to be before it's all built. And then we look at it and say, hey, where's the medical facility? Where's the suicide watch facility? Are these mental health units, if they're going to be some in there, are these designed in the way that are really going to foster mental health? We've kind of ignored the women's facility. I was just out there. They're moving along very quickly with the construction, but they're constructing something none of us know anything about, and we're supposed to be, working on oversight. So I think that's another item we ought to put on the agenda, is to at least go look at them and talk to them and see what what they're doing and if it makes any sense at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else on the Zoom that would like to make a remark? Yes,
Mark,
Ted.
I'd like to follow up on what Bob just talked about as regards to women's facility. I think it's a super idea to get a briefing on not only what this facility is all about, but how does it fit in with the total women's facility? How does it fit in with the community level programming that's available and apparently is moving forward with largely thanks to the efforts of the legislature and women's advocacy groups in the community. I think they're going to add like 160 beds or something like that. And the population has been declining, but there's going to be a huge number of more than 100 new staff that's going to be hired in a time where PSD can't keep its current staffing filled. So how's it all going to work? How's it going to impact OCCC? Because my understanding is that women at OCCC are supposed to be going to impact programs like Fernhurst. There's a lot of really important questions that need to be asked. So I think a briefing from PSD on the women's facility is in order in the near future. Thank you, Bob, for bringing that.
That's a good point.
Ted. Thank you, Ted.
What does that mean? You say admin?
Yeah.
I don't see a name. I just see admin. I see your hand up. Did you want to make a comment?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm Lillian. My name is Lillian Wakinikona.
Hello, Lillian.
I want to tag on to what Bob had said earlier. And my question is in regard to the infirmed and elderly that are incarcerated. Does the parole authority check with the infirmary to see which one of these individuals could be released, talk with families, with outsiders? My husband, Delbert, was one of the first that Bob worked on to bring out of custody to die with dignity. And I'm so proud of all of the work that he's done. And I look forward to doing more. I also want to congratulate the visit that you made to Saguaro. I'm getting huge amounts of feedback on that, which is very, very successful. So I appreciate all the work that you do. Please investigate what can be done for the parole authority to look into the elderly, the infirmed, to see what we can do to help bring them out to die with dignity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wakinikona. Mahalo. Any others?
I think there's more people in the Big Island group.
Yeah. Ron, did you have someone else in that wanted to say something?
Yeah. Yes. Can I testify?
Go ahead, Ronald.
Good morning, Chair Mark Kabika Patterson, Commissioners Ronnie Barra, Ted Sakai. I don't see Commissioners Mike Towns or Martha Torney there, but I acknowledge them, and good to see Christine Johnson, the Oversight Coordinator. My name for the record is Ronald Fujioshi. Since 2000, the Treasurer for Ohana Hopakele. I personally want to compliment those who chose the commissioners, for I cannot imagine better people with the credentials of the members of the Hawaii Correctional System Oversight Commission and the Oversight Coordinator. If any group wants to make Hawaii a model for the world, this commission can do it. Trying to grasp the role of this commission, I was able to look over the 2023-2024 strategic plan and was impressed by the stated priorities, objectives, and strategies in the plan, especially by the often stated goal of the HCSOC to transform Hawaii's correctional system from a punitive model to a rehabilitative and a therapeutic model by using a holistic treatment of our most marginalized populations. Ohana Hopakale wants to be seen as one of your community partners in this effort. We would like to assist in helping to increase community participation and encourage people most affected by the correctional system to voice their concerns and suggestions as directly as possible to this commission. And therefore, we would love the in-person meetings more than the Zoom, because it limits many people to get on this in the loop. Can we ask some simple questions of the commission? First, how do we, as the public, get items on your agenda? Yeah? Second, can the oversight coordinator, as part of her monthly report, cover items that the public have brought up in their testimonies to the commission? For example, some of us testified about the possible misuse of the overtime system. Is the commission able to investigate this? I testified concerning a Columbia University study that showed that for Pahao released age 65 and over, the recidivism rate is almost zero. To reduce the overcrowding in Hawaii correctional facilities and eliminate the deaths of older Pahao while incarcerated, can the commission make a recommendation concerning this? You heard testimony on the Faith Pods resolution passed by the Hawaii State Legislature, with supporting testimony by the then interim head of the Department of Public Safety, Max Otani. Can this commission support the implementation of Faith Pods in Hawaii? You heard testimony about veterans with PTSD who are in prison. Can the commission request a study of Pahao with PTSD and what programs are available for them? We were aware of Commissioner Ron Ibarra's initiating the Veterans Court program. What else is available to incarcerated veterans who have been diagnosed as having PTSD? These are just a few examples of issues that were raised in testimony. Is it in order for us to hear the answers to the two questions that I raised? Mahalo for the opportunity to testify. Blessings on you as commissioners and as coordinator. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ronald. Ronald, where should I begin? So, real quick, in terms of agenda, by law, the Hawaii Correctional Systems Oversight Commission has to make public our agenda 1 week before the meeting. Yeah.
And you can't edit it.
And we can't touch it once we post it. Okay. So prior to that post date, so a week before the meeting, or actually 2 weeks before the meeting, you want to have a discussion with the oversight coordinator on possible agenda items. And sometimes the questions that you have are part of a larger question that the commission is looking at. So it's good to have the discussions prior so that you understand we may already be working on that and how do we add it if need be at the time. I believe if you can send us a list to the Oversight's website or email, we can, be in conversation with you between the meetings, on those items and remind us of what we need to follow up on. Yeah. So I think that's the best thing right now. You did say you had a long list, and we want to see it so we can align it with what we're doing. And if not, begin looking into that matter so we can get some questions for you. Our role is to answer those questions. So
can I add to that?
Go ahead.
So, and then Ron, just, my process. So I look at whatever current issues are happening that are priorities to the commissioners. And then we have had other community groups who have reached out saying, hey, can you add this as an agenda item? So then I just double check with the commission to make sure that that's something that they want to prioritize. I know if there's 2 different community groups that had a couple things that we couldn't stuff into today's meeting with a little pact, but for future meetings, we are going to incorporate. And so absolutely. And I look forward to chatting with you soon. And I have your contact info, Ron, so I'll reach out to you after this meeting and we can connect.
And at the same time, Kahu, just really want to shout out and appreciate all your work in the past 35 years plus for your advocacy for the Native Hawaiians and in the criminal justice system as well. So mahalo. Yeah. Any other?
Were there other questions?
Okay, seeing none. My fellow commissioners, that was a great meeting that we've had. You know,
one more.
Oh, from the Big Island.
Aloha, go ahead.
Yeah, from the Big Island. Aloha, my name is Kalehau Kama'u. And I'm with Ohana Ho'opakele. And I just want to reiterate, and most of the stuff I wanted to say actually was already addressed or was already brought up by members of our group. But I would like to reiterate the importance and hope that traditional Native Hawaiian healing practices, culture and healing practices can be brought to the forefront. We already have, like Ron was Faith Pod, we had done a resolution on that, totally supported. And I am a result. You know, I've done a lot of time in prison. I've been in prison for a long time, including the version of the ship prior to it being called the ship. It was back then, it was called Apahai. And yeah, so I understand that thing about the 60 days and take a day rest and go out and come back 3 out of 30 days. And the programming, like Kat is correct. There is no programming in that program, in that thing. But people, you know, you say like 12 months, 14 months. You know, there are people in a ship right now, you know, that exceed 5, 6, 7 years. And it's all because, you know, from one phase to the next phase, first, second, third, if anything happened, you get caught with an extra pencil or something in your cell, you swear on God, then you do the phase all over again. So it's a continuous thing. And I don't know, maybe it's changed. I've been out next January, makes 10 years. And so the Faith Pods, I've participated in the Faith Pod in Oklahoma, and it was awesome. So that's the thing I bring, back home. And a lot of other people I spoke with, formerly incarcerated people, they agree. And one of them is one Kahu up here, in fact, now. And he just got out a couple of years ago, but in Puna, he's an associate Kahu of the church that I go to over there. But he said he's getting hard time getting in. So I don't know, but I really want to emphasize the importance of doing something in the prison system that going to get people ready for when they get out. So the Faith Pod would be that. After they get out, as to reintegrate back into society, we've been pushing for pu'uhonua throughout the islands. And beginning right here, in fact, Act 117 calls for the department to get into the pu'uhonua, and they designated Kulani as being the site for this pilot. And that was a while back. And we would like to, like Ron was saying, you know, partner with you guys and help develop that. We're in contact. We have commitments by cultural practitioners up here on the Hawaii Island. And we would like to help with that process. I just heard today that not only Kulani is under what is that, capacitated or something? Under capacity, but also Waiava. You know, these are great sites where we can implement a pu'uhonua model or pilot. We already have one up at Waiava and Waiava, the women's, and also Halava, that I had worked with your brother, Kaleo, in establishing. So he continues that effort, which continued to, he get in hard time. And
So we still like trying to puka through and get this thing going. Personally, I come from a very culturally oriented family. And, everybody in my family, from my grandparents to my dad, my parents, my siblings, are all, culturally, my sisters took over my mom's halal and etc. And I was the only guy that went off into left field. But it was just this reawakening while I was in prison. I would say maybe the last 15, 20 years prior to getting out, that I had come, to return back to my culture. And it has helped me tremendously, helped me get over the anger, get over everything, and get into the fake pod. And now when I'm out, I'm just, put myself in all these cultural things and want to give back and want to work with you guys to do something for our population on the inside. And it's not just for Hawaiians. This is beneficial. I help create, in fact, the pu'uhonua on the inside. And we did not only have, it was not limited to Hawaiians. It was for all. It was for everybody, whatever. And the only requirement was whatever patch you patching up, you coming in and you're not associated with nothing of that. We're doing all these things which we developed ourselves, call it a curriculum or what, but we put them together ourselves. And until today, the things still continue but struggle. So I'm just asking that that you guys kako or support this effort and to help address that part that is lacking in the prison system, which is cultural, especially traditional Hawaiian cultural and healing practices. So mahalo for you guys' time. Mahalo, aloha.
Thank you.
Mahalo. Mahalo for your thoughts. Good. You want to do it right now before I give you something?
Not a chat.
Guys, you had something you wanted to say? I can't hear you.
Sorry, I had my mute on. I'll be brief. I have two issues I just wanted to discuss before we broke up, because I think they're very important. One has to deal with how public safety is handling mandatory classes for inmates who must have these classes before being released. Our agency has really been concerned about this for years, and we've concentrated and developed our programming to answer some of these problems. We have two areas that I'm concerned about. One is anger management, and the other is CBT, or cognitive behavioral training for inmates. These programs are mandated either by the parole board manager in each facility. When I took some time off last year to actually do an art project that you were at, thank you very much, we came back and there was a list of 140 inmates who did not have anger management class. There was a corresponding list of 60 inmates who did not have cognitive behavioral training, all of which were mandated for these particular inmates to have before being released. My concern is that I don't believe that there is a clear way that public safety is facing this particular problem. Let me say it this way. If we thought about cognitive behavior, where within public safety are these particular programs housed, and who is responsible for seeing that these inmates have this mandated training before they're released? And I'm not saying this idly. I've been wondering about this for years, going on decades now. There would be the Learning Center and the Education Department, where I've experienced my programs being housed. It would be the Substance Abuse Division of Public Safety, where I've experienced these programs being housed and inmates being remanded to them because there was no place else for them to go except substance abuse treatment. And there's also the question now of the reentry office. My question would be, who in public safety is responsible so we can see that these inmates are trained and eligible for release when there's no other reason for them to be inside except for the lack of these programs being offered. The other concern I have, the second one, is a situation I will be very brief about, because at this point, there is a decision being made about cooperative RFP that our agency, WorkNet, is doing with Lauren Walker's agency, Hui Kahi Circles. This has become an issue because there is a great need for this type of program in public safety, and we've had a lot of problems in having it be actually brought to fruition and funded. I believe that I would like to have a conversation with your new person that's on board, who is now responsible for looking at issues such as this, because we probably need to talk in a more private manner about what's going on with this issue now. So I just wanted to lay that on the table. I hope, and I really, really appreciate the work the commission is doing and has done. Kristen, I can't commend you enough for coming in here and opening our eyes to a lot of the things that we need to be aware of. So I thank the commission in its entirety for the work that you're doing. Mahalo.
Thank you, Chip. And I looked over at Kara and she was shaking her head yes. So we'll make sure to connect you with Kara.
And I made sure I still had your number on my phone, so I'll give it to her. Okay, Des?
Thank you. Right. Good. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
What's the next agenda item?
Okay, thank you for those comments. I appreciate it. Just a few more things. On our next meeting that's scheduled for Thursday, August 17th. Here.
Well, do you want me to jump in now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So commissioners, I just wanted to jump in here very briefly. So obviously our last month meeting was canceled. And then this month we weren't able to go to Kulani. So I was hoping to reschedule Kulani with you. So, and then also with the conversation about women's, one thought that came to my mind is we could shift our schedule around and go to women's next month or in September, just to kind of push it forward. And then we can get all of that information, actually see the construction, sit down, get a real debrief. So just an idea. But our upcoming schedule as it is right now is August. We have Halava after the meeting. September, we have Waiava. October, we have women's. And then November, technically we had a break at that point. We could put Kulani there, or we could shift the schedule around, so I just wanted to check in about that so we can make sure we get room rentals and travel stuff down.
Any comments from Ted or Ron?
Well, I think the easiest way is just add November to Kulani.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, it seems that women's opens up a lot of other kinds of issues, not only because it is going to be the women's facility. It's statewide. It'll impact women's on all the islands, not only on Oahu. Hopefully the opening will be imminent because they've been in construction for a long time now. So I think that I'd like to see that given a priority. All the others are important.
So do we want to shift women's to August? We could go to women's next month, which would mean that September would be Halava, October would be Waiava, November would be Big Island and Kulani.
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
As long as there's travel money for Ron.
The only thing with November, I meant to ask this too. I think Thanksgiving
Change the date.
hits our meeting, right? No?
No.
The week after. Okay. The week after. Okay, yeah. So we can shift around. So we can do WCCC, Halava, Waiava, Kulani. Okay. Thank you all. I just wanted to get my ducks in a row.
We have 2 more public comments. Sorry that we didn't get them all in together. Can we still do 2 more? We have 2 more people here.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
That one, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning. Koiro Kimo Kali, Kulani Kai Aina Piana Kalane. Hi, Chief. Hawaiian. 100% blue blood. Kanaka Moane. Also, I'm a Purple Heart patriot because of my combat wounded issues in Mekong Delta in Vietnam. My brother, Dan, got himself in trouble because of PTSD. Once we got out of the service, we didn't get back to enjoy the natural ideals of health and safety in our community. PTSD, I still have it. But I had to go back and do my psychological evaluation with my doctors. After I got through with my doctors, they gave me my medical be retired out of the United States Army. But as people like myself, as a Kanaka Maoli, pure blood Hawaiian, I had a problem with that when I got into the military. I didn't quite understand what happened to the overthrow of Hawaii, of our queen, Liliuokalani. So after I got through with my service in Vietnam, I became a U.S. citizen as a patriot. So I still hold myself as a Hawaiian subject because of the Kingdom of Hawaii. And we were under the British government. That's why we have the flag here on our chest, at Kanakas in Hawaii. We serve God and country. Long story short, my brother was in Folsom Prison for 20 years plus. And before I went to Vietnam, we had asked permission for the President of the United States to see if my brother could get discharged or released from Folsom Prison. Richard Nixon, President of the United States at that time, had my brother released from prison on a presidential excuse. But in a situation with Dan, it's not the same as my brother, but his incarceration was over 20 plus years. And his recovery to come back to Hawaii because of his probation was only to remain in the United States of America, not to come back to Hawaii. And my brother came back anyway, under a different name, Kahumanum. And the other thing is that why he had to come back with that name, the Queen, Kahumanum. And the other part is that this is the beginning of a Hawaiian island to become Christians. And the other part of our Hawaiian history is that it took me time to go back to school and college and learn a little Hawaii and find out who I really am before I could accept the citizenship of the United States. So I became a very powerful activist in Hawaiian protests throughout the islands. Ron Fujiyoshi, who is sitting here with me, knows me very well. Ron Fujiyoshi also introduced me to Van Yamoku. And then we became really close friends way back in the early 90s. Van was a part of our committee or group that went to Hawaii when we had in 1993 the major protest at the Iolani Palace concerning the overthrow of Hawaii. He was a very, very strong person in his, knowing his Hawaiian identity. But he lost something that he didn't understand till we got working together and reclaimed his identity as a Hawaiian. I too had to go and do the same thing to get my genealogy from my ancestors and all my family and friends that were here on the island of Mokuokeawe. After I went back to college, I had back to school for administration of justice. That was one of my subjects that I went to college. Finished it up in 4 years because I had a calling for the overthrow of the United Hawaii, 1993. So I went on a different mission, on a different journey to become who I am today. As a senior kupuna and a certified cultural practitioner, international and local. I ask this board, think about it very hard. We all understand the health and safety for any prisoner that come out of any prison because he's got issues. And we understand the health and safety for the community because if he does come back, we've got to make sure that he's in a safe environment and safe area because of his age. Medical insurance, everything is very expensive today. Van is lucky that he has been in the military and served his country and God. And he made a mistake. Nobody's perfect, neither you as a commission. Just think in your heart and your brain and make the right choices for him so that he can come back and enjoy his freedom that he fought for 4 years in Vietnam and service to God and country in the military. I myself, I'm the commander of the Purple Heart 731 here in Hilo. And today, I'm the commander of the Purple Heart 731 chapter here in Hilo, Hawaii. And I still have to go through protocol through headquarters, and we still honor and respect the Commander-in-Chief Joe Biden. And this is the whole thing that I've been holding back because a lot of the issues today politically is getting very terrible. There are so many things going on, but I have to keep myself strong and resilient so that I can help my friends and my family that needs this type of answers and questions to help him get out. And he's the one that we're talking about so that he can get good, not only protection, but care, health care, and come back and do the whole pono with his family so that he can come back and enjoy his family before he dies. The whole thing about it is that we all have a time that is going to expire. And he can also have the idea of saying, I'm sorry to the family that he created the crime. So I ask you for your help and your knowledge and your wisdom to make sure that you explain to him prior to his release and to explain to those that took care of him for over 20 years in prison. His records should be clean at this point in time, but it'll have to continue after his release. And I will be more than happy to support him and help him on his new life back, if anything, here in Hawaii, from Mokuokeawe. Mahalo nui loa. Aloha.
Right on.
Mahalo, mahalo. Was there one more?
One more. One more. Keep.
Aloha. My name is Ricky Tars Pastana. One
Yeah.
more. Can you hear me?
One
Can
more.
you see me?
Can you hear us?
Yep, we can
One
hear
more.
you.
All right. All right.
Can you
Aloha.
hear?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Aloha.
Okay.
Can. Now can.
Hi. Yeah, now can.
Aloha. Can you hear me?
That was awesome. Mahalo.
Hi, another vet who realized getting drafted into a military that is based on making war everywhere it goes. And I mean, just being in this commission and getting involved with educated, wise people that have compassion for so-called criminals. We are in a nation that we are governed by American government that did a crime in 1893. So who's the criminals here? You know, brother who spoke in front of me, he got the Purple Heart. He saw combat. I saw combat. I'm sitting as close as I am to this lady who's holding this camera, and they got themselves blown away by what? Mana, what force is that? Oh, like, I don't have a Purple Heart, but I have a sore, awakened. There's a crime going on here, and I'm participating. We're all constructors, conscripting genocide, but the original people that came here beyond just the missionaries of it. The Tahitians came here and introduced cannibalism. So how far back do we go in humanity's history? Right now, I see humanity's insanity. We're sitting on the brink of maybe Third World War III. Again, brother brought up, you know, this government that we're being oppressed by. So humans, Kanakas who go off and fight wars and come home with this sickness called PTSD. It's real. It's very real. And we need a so-called prison system. So we don't need to build any more institutions and buildings here. Like, I think there's a gentleman here who wants to build a penitentiary here on the Big Island. We don't need that. We don't need more Americanized Western ways of suppressing another culture. We don't need any more governments like what's going on now that the people you serve. I get fed every month. I get a paycheck every month in the mail.
Run.
Because I fought in Vietnam. 100% PTSD. Senator Spark Matsunaga read my records and you did all this? I go, yes, sir. And 3 days later, I got 100% benefits never to be taken away. I went to jail on Maui for 3 months because of a I don't drive around with American license plates, all that stuff. I was in jail for 3 months. In jail, the boys asked me, Uncle, you like smoke ice? And I'm like, huh? I don't smoke ice. Uncle, you like smoke pakalolo? In here, no, I will spin out. You boys can get me a beer. Oh, sorry, Uncle, we cannot get you a beer. But everything else they can. It is happening every day here. Since I've been home on the Big Island for the past 10 months, it's a crime what's going on just in the local government. And we're all participating in that. We're all constructing a genocide. It cannot hide. Everything we do, your jobs are part of that. My livelihood is part of that. So when do we change society and take away humanity's insanity and go back to, the culture that was here even before the Tahitians came? That's the one we should really study. The Kanawais of the ancients. And again, thank you I can't wait. Let's go back to old school. Can you guys fly over here? Bullshit, no more funds. So most surreptitious practices of committing genocide. Oh, we no more money because we cannot fly to other islands and look our people in the eye. Come on, Aski. Let's enough talk already, and we can't wait to meet you folks. Come to the islands. Let's all go to. You got the money. You could fly people like brought over here. PTSD, Al Quran, Al Wise, Kupuna, and Kalihau, all the different Kalis I know. Type of Ali, Kali, Ho'oponopono to the culture that's real here. Mahalo for letting me speak. Hola, nakanaka ikolu, aloha.
Mahalo, anakala, mahalo. Appreciate you That's it, right? I wanted to once again thank everybody for coming today, and especially for all of you on the Big Island. Once again, apologize for us not being there, but thank you for being here and sharing your manao with the commission. We will eventually be coming to you folks as well. We're maintaining the schedule that we've already set, and we'll keep on reporting out to everyone our issues if they continue to occur in regards to the budget. But this has been a good meeting. A lot of things done. No matter how we started this meeting in terms of the budget issues that we're having currently, which is resolved, it just has to flow now. We perceive the next 6 months to be a very busy time for us. So there is no stop, there is no rest. There's going to be additional stuff added to our staff shoulders. But we want to make sure that everyone knows that we're still pushing forward. Yeah, your prayers and your help, as long as we go along, is going to be appreciated, and it's going to be much needed. And I just want to tell you that we're committed to the cause and clearly articulating the need that the state of Hawaii for this commission in terms of leading us on the reforms that we need and are desired, and that were mentioned today in your testimonies, as well as that the commissioners feel and our staff. So thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you.
Mahalo.